Pull with the right lane here. 3, 2, 1. Alright, so we're doing shocks on our E450 test motorhome. There we go. Alright. Just remember, you're dealing with a stud that is pretty small, and if that busts off, you have to drill all of this out. Ask me how I know. Squeeze in. We've got the KONI FSD shocks installed now. We just installed those. I have not driven it since then. I don't have my Uncle John with me this time. He is actually on vacation this week, so he gets to miss out on this, but I'm sure he's having a lot of fun. Last time I drove it, we had just installed the rear track bar. At that time, I took it on the freeway up north of Grants Pass and then looped back around. This time, I'm going to go on the same course that we were previously running, which was out Redwood Highway over basically our typical RPA test course. So really interested in what this is going to do for our ride quality as well as our handling. And go ahead and get started. Okay. I also did give the Safety Plus one more little adjustment last time, or when I was installing the shocks actually, just to try to get that all the way dialed in. I still have not changed my tire pressure, so we've been running pretty consistent on that, which, you know, if I were telling somebody what to do to get a softer ride, that would actually be the first thing I would recommend, is weigh the coach. Look at your tire manufacturer's chart for the tire size, the load rating, and the weight that you're carrying, and actually set your tires accordingly. So we definitely will be doing that before I take off on my trip, which I'm going to do in just a few days now, taking this thing on its really its maiden voyage up to northern Washington for a rally up there. So it'll be a good test. Gonna have the family with me, gonna be towing my Jeep, and that's a big part of why I wanted to get at least a few basic upgrades done on it. So proper alignment, Safety Plus steering control, rear track bar, and KONI FSD shocks. That was my ideal kind of minimum list. We still haven't done anything with sway bar upgrades. I know that my front anti-sway bar, besides just being really undersized the way they are on these things, it does have a little bit of a gap in the bushing, and we've shown that before in some of the other inspections we've done. So we are still getting diminished performance from that already pretty small anti-sway bar, but I'm really curious what all the shocks are going to do for me. So excited for this test. Still got that play on center in the steering. Unfortunately, it's that steering gear. Good thing to keep in mind, the Safety Plus steering control, it's not going to do anything for actual play in your steering. Sometimes if you got play in the steering, the Safety Plus can actually make it harder to deal with that, just because now you've kind of added another variable there. Typically, we recommend as much as you can take care of play, loose components first. In this case, to really take care of that play, we're going to be looking at a rebuilt steering gear, which is a bummer. That is more than what I'm able to get done before taking this thing on its trip. That's the thing with shocks, is that you kind of got to understand what they're doing. Know that you know, they're not going to remove generally like an initial kind of harsh impact. You've got really stiff springs, which this thing does, especially in the back. You could run the softest shocks possible. They are not going to get rid of that initial impact. What they can do is quiet down some of the chatter. Where what's happening there is you get a little bit of the axle itself kind of hitting like a resonant frequency, and the shocks can dampen that out, so you're not getting as much of that kind of chop and chatter. So far I like it. I've not really done have a little lane change or anything yet. I'm going to wait to do that until we open up a little bit more here. The right lane here, change lanes to the right. 3, 2, 1. Nicely controllable there. Still get a little bit of sway on initial turn in there. I think our undersized sway bars are still hurting us there. But yeah, we are running a bit smoother. I think I did it. I got that safety plus dot. They pretty nice lifters. I've not driven this route, and without towing the Jeep a little bit, it feels like I've got it pretty well. And a little bit of tire vibration there. One more lane change. Left. 3, 2, 1. It's definitely better. Yeah. I think I feel less of that kind of slight bounce. I don't quite want to call it bouncing. So with this wheelbase, you don't get as much of that forward and backward pitching. It's more just like a whole thing kind of shifting up and down. I'm not feeling that as much now. Yeah, it's definitely a more controlled drive now than it was. I'll swing over the scales again. May as well check again where we're at. Stay out of the trucker's way here. Alright. What do we got on the front? Ford E450 front. Sure that stabilizes. Yeah, 4250. Alright, we'll go till it zeroes out. 0. Now we'll get that rear axle on there. And 9600. Bit lighter now, a bit lower weight ratio than what we were. I don't have my passenger up here, and we got a bit less fuel in it now than before. I think last time I came across here, man, I've burned a lot of fuel in this thing with this test driving. So 42 and 96. So we are running lower than a 50% weight ratio. Still not bad for an E450 Class C. It's gonna change though. Once I get this thing fully loaded, so I get it mostly loaded for travel. We'll do one more final weigh. It's kind of how it goes. You do one thing at a time. Okay, I like that, but now I want this this next thing we fixed. Alright, well overall I'd say yeah, it's definitely an improvement. Not quite as much chatter. You definitely notice you don't get that up and down movement over kind of the rollers in the pavement. I was able to carry a little more speed through that back road test than what we had done before. Just overall driving it now, part of it is I'm getting more comfortable. I've got more miles on this thing, but also it is more predictable and more stable, and it's tracking nice and straight. I like that. Yeah, as far as the ride goes, you definitely still get a lot just because of how stiff those rear springs are. So doesn't matter how good the shocks are. Well, it does, but you're going to help a bit with the just kind of the chatter, the overall noise level, but that initial slam, bang kind of thing, it's generally you're going to have to do something different with your springs. I mean, if you can safely run lower tire pressure, then yes, that will help too, because I mean, if you think about it, basically your tires are springs as well, air springs that are in series with your suspension springs or leaf springs. So the less tire pressure you can run, effectively, the lower the spring rate will be of your tires, those springs that are in contact with you now. And so that really does make a nice difference on your ride quality. Even a 5 psi change in your tire pressure can make a difference. So again, once we get this thing loaded up, the way we're going to be taking it up to Washington, we'll see about running less tire pressure. Hopefully, maybe we'll have to run more. I don't know. It's too much stuff we take with. All right. Well, overall, I'd say our first few upgrades have been a success. The rear track bar did help that steering out quite a bit, just from the back. Feels more controlled, more planted back there. Safety Plus, absolutely, you can feel it coming back on center better. It did reduce the bump steer. The bump steer is not totally gone. I don't think it will ever totally be gone with this style of suspension, but I'm curious what else could be done, if anything. I think maybe a little more control. Curious about sumo springs, what that might do up front eventually. But definitely those KONIs did give me more control. Most prominently I noticed situations where before it might have just gotten just a little bit of that bounce feeling where like kind of the whole coach is sort of like rebounding upward. You don't get that kind of that overshoot sort of back and forth feeling. A little bit quieter as well over sort of the more chattery sections. And in terms of what I would like still, I mean, I would like less play in my steering. I would like probably even a little more freer feel. I just feel like this steering gear is not only a little bit stiff on center, but just like all of that is play. I'm not real happy with that steering gear. Otherwise, ride quality, yes, it is still firm. The springs are so stout in the back. So in the future, we'll be looking at what we can do to further help that. We are still running our airbags. Let's see where we're at on this thing here. It still have 60 psi. Yep, we're still set to 60. I think I'm going to keep it there. I think that's probably pretty good number. Let's see, still a little bit of sway definitely you notice it more aggressive turn in, and I really think that getting some properly sized sway bars and also just that little bit of slop in our front sway bar really would help a lot with that. Unfortunately, I'm not gonna have time to do that before my my trip up to Washington. But overall, I think, yeah, just the order of the things we've done is the right way to do it. That's what I would recommend. If you have an E450, if you haven't had a line before, start with a good alignment. Dealing with any play, anything worn out or loose in the steering that you can. And from there, in terms of upgrades, the track bar and Safety Plus really are just such a winning combination for the steering. Giving you that positive center point, that blowout protection, reduction in bump steer with the Safety Plus, and the track bar just really helping to make your the back axle of the coach not feel like so much of that oversteer sort of thing, just more confident cornering. And then the KONI shocks definitely took care of some of that chatter, some of the noise, and then more prominently just gave us more control. So great starting point, but there's still more to do. So remember to like and subscribe to stay in the loop on this series. Let us know what exactly you think we should test next. Let us know what you think we may have missed. What would you have done differently? I'm sure somebody's got some thoughts on that. And till next time, I want to wish you safer and happier driving. Thank you.
Talking steering, suspension, the tools of the trade. Shout out to Super Steer Parts, upgrades made. From quiet campfires to the stars up above. Every road is a story, every turn is a love. Finding hidden gems and the paths off the grid. Life on the road.